And we are on the Mark Hoke Show, and we are welcoming in the three-time Impact X Division champion. And I guess we can't say Impact anymore. We've got to say TNA X Division champion and the current TNA World Tag Team champion, along with his partner, Chris Bey from ABC and member of the Bullet Club. Ace Austin is in the house. Ace, what's going on, my friend? How are you?
Hello, I'm great. Me and Chris Bey, ABC, we're on top of the world right now. PWI put us, number 6. We're up at the very top of the best tag teams in the world, and with Final Resolution behind us, the final Impact Wrestling show under the Impact Wrestling banner, we have officially become the final Impact Wrestling Tag Team Champions, and now we are going to be the very first TNA Tag Team Champions, leading the charge in this new generation of TNA.
Well, and let's start with that PWI ranking, because, I was there in Las Vegas when, you guys challenged the Motor City Machine Guns. And I had just interviewed Chris a couple days before that and was talking to him about, him possibly challenging for the X Division title. Then all of a sudden you guys roll out there. There's a promo and an IKEA chant, and I apologize because I started that. And and all of a sudden you guys are the World Tag Team Champions, and off you go. And now the two of you have incredibly evolved into being one of the top tag teams in the world. How did that happen? So, and especially so quickly.
Yeah, I think we were. I think we were. The whole PWI list is subjective, right? It's all opinion. We all like to look at it as a good measure of our success, but there are some discrepancies. In my opinion, we were easily top 5, if not top 4. But it all came together really because it goes all the way back to my first tour of Japan. New Japan was interested in bringing me in for the Super Juniors. And so it was kind of a perfect storm, right? The Bullet Club presence in Impact Wrestling had been apparent. LG and Carl Anderson came in. So they definitely were aware of me. They had eyes on me. They had some interest in me, unbeknownst to me at the time. And then when I went in for the Super Juniors, I made such an impression, such an impact, as it were, on the New Japan world that Bullet Club really recognized me as one of the top promising, people up next. And so they started some conversations with me. They put some feelers out. And by the end of that first Japan tour, it seemed clear to me that the best choice for me to make at the time would be to join Bullet Club. They were interested, and when a group as prestigious as Bullet Club is interested, it's hard to say no. An offer you can't pass up, really. And so joining Bullet Club just sort of happened out of opportunity. And then once I was in and I came home, all of a sudden the writing was kind of just on the wall. Chris Bey had already been recruited into Bullet Club. He was already part of Impact. Him and I had been great. We had great chemistry as opponents in the X Division. And so now that we were both a part of Bullet Club, coming back to Impact after that first Super Junior tour, it just seemed like, hey, let's give this a try. And all of a sudden, it just started flowing. Sometimes you just really capture a spark. You really find something that works when you're not looking for it. Neither one of us wanted to be in a tag team. Neither one of us, thought that was like the next best thing for us. But it was an opportunity, and neither one of us are above tackling opportunities, right? So we just kind of we almost just fell into that tag team position, like, let's give this a try. And then it just started working. And especially when you are in there with guys like the Motor City Machine Guns, of course, you really have to step up and elevate your game to sort of, I mean, to compete with that, to match that. And neither Chris Bey nor I want to be anything less than the best. So we put all of our effort into whatever's in front of us. And that was just the tag team thing at the time. And so it went so well in Impact that it became clear, okay, how about we go do the Super Junior Tag League? And then when we did that, it was just a whole, I don't know if we would be the team that we are today if not for us doing that Super Junior Tag League, because we were still a brand new team when we went out to Japan to do that. And that gave us the perfect opportunity to spend as much time together as possible, bonding and creating the necessary tag team chemistry. And also from a performance perspective, we were doing multiple matches per week throughout all of Japan. And so it really sharpened our skills quickly. I don't know if we would have been able to sharpen our skills together as quickly had we not been able to do that tour together. So coming back from that, we were just like a whole different team than the one we were before we left. And so getting right back into the tag team mix at Impact, we just started pushing forward, pushing ahead, and then Motor City Machine Guns started finding success in more singles activities, and it kind of opened the door for us to kick it in.
So give everybody a little idea of where the TNA tag team situation is right now. Who are you guys looking at in terms of current challengers for people that may not have been following TNA as tightly as they should?
Sure. Well, I don't know if we're ever going to get rid of the thorn that is the Rascals, unfortunately. I thought that we had put that behind us, but if final resolution this past weekend is evidence of anything, that's not going to happen. I don't think that I'm ever going to be able to get Trey off my back. Trey and I have been on career parallels, if you want to call it that. Trey and I have basically been competing with each other since 2017, since long before either one of us were signed to Impact or any sort of TV deal. When I first moved out to the Midwest in 2017 to further my young pro wrestling career, one of the young prospects out here was Trey. And so we both ended up we lived together. We were roommates. I was roommates with both Trey and Zach and Myron, the third rascal. I was roommates with all of them back then, back in 2017. And we were all training under the same person. We were all working for the same places weekly. We were traveling together a whole lot. We were really good friends for a long time, but that competition was always there. It was always looming. It was all three. It was just all a whole bunch of young guys trying to make it. And that has never stopped. Even after the Impact deal came, it came for us both, right? So Trey ended up landing on Impact. I ended up landing on Impact. And then there we were again, the same thing as 2017. There we were again competing for a spot. And there's just an undeniable, I guess maybe chemistry is what you would call it. But there's just an undeniable magic that happens between Trey and I. And I think it's just because neither one of us will ever accept a position below the other. We're always pushing for the top. So I've been married to Trey since then, and I don't think that I will ever be able to shake him. As long as he is in my vicinity, he'll never leave me alone. So of course the Rascals, we got to be aware of them. They're not gonna let us, get away scot-free with these titles. So we gotta keep an eye out for them. But as far as other teams go, I think the unique thing, one of the most special things about Impact Wrestling and now TNA is the open door policy, right? We have the the most effective open door policy of any company in the world right now. There is almost no restriction to who can come through our doors and challenge. So that's really exciting. It could literally be anybody, as long as another company or a group of people or whoever's in charge of whoever, as long as they are willing to come and challenge, the door will always be open. There's hardly any restriction or reason to not let somebody come in. So there are so many teams out there beyond TNA that could easily come in and give it a shot. And I think that's I mean, there's a lot of really exciting things there. You can't just put it under the one umbrella, right? It's not just the teams in TNA that we have to be aware of. It could really be anybody. It could be anybody at all.
So we could be getting a surprise here in Las Vegas for Ace Austin and our good friend Chris Bey at Hard to Kill.
At the moment, nobody is really in a number one contender position, right? We ended the year as the final Impact Wrestling Tag Team Champions, definitively, against Myers and Eddie. And now there is not really anybody poised at the top of the ladder to challenge us next. So I would say a surprise challenge to kick off this new generation of TNA is inevitable.
It could be interesting, to say the least. And it's going to be an awesome weekend coming up here in Las Vegas, January 13th and 14th, with the Hard to Kill pay-per-view, and then Snake Eyes with the TV tapings coming up. We've got Okada coming in here on that Sunday. And Will Ospreay's going to be wrestling Josh Alexander too. I mean, what an amazing way this is going to be to kick off the new era with TNA, Ace. I mean, I can't imagine what we're going to be seeing.
We've done nothing but knock it out of the park every single time. We've been selling out events consistently, and all of our events have delivered for the last, year plus. Honestly, everything we've been doing has been, you can't call it hit or miss. It's all been hit. We've just been hitting and hitting and hitting. This, I don't know if there's a better place for us to revamp this brand than Las Vegas. I mean, it's going to be so exciting. The bright lights, the big city, the people. It's going to be huge. It's going to be really, really huge. And I think the next year is going to be, who knows what's in store. We really have the whole world at our fingertips with this TNA thing. And I'm just beyond excited about it.
Well, what does it mean to you to be standing beside, Chris and Alex as the champions that are going to be leading the way into the new era? Because obviously so many great names have held the championships for Impact and TNA over the years. Oh, yeah. And here you guys are. You're the ones. I mean, you and Chris Bey are the guys. I mean, that's got to be a cool feeling to know that it's you.
It's an unbelievable. Yeah, it's really a lot of validation for years and years and years of extremely hard work. I have dedicated every bit of my life to professional wrestling since I started training really in 2014. That's my first day of training was May 27th, 2014. I started training at the Wild Samoan Training Center in Allentown, Pennsylvania. And ever since then, it has been everything I do with pro wrestling in mind. Every decision I make, I do with my career in mind. And being in the position that we're in is really just I can't really think of a better word than validation. It's really just it's the position that I always saw myself being in, as like a figurehead, as a face of a company, as just one of those guys that's looked at as a pillar. And I've pushed really. I've done such great work in Impact that I feel like we'll never get the recognition it deserves. And hopefully now with this TNA rebranding, there's something about the three letters. There's something about three strong letters that really puts a company in a better position. There's something that pro wrestling fans really adore about a 3-letter name. You know, the Impact never really got the love that it deserved for whatever reason, but we've done so much work to wipe away any of the negative reputation that remained from years and years before. And now the time is now for this new team, this effective and successful team, to take those 3 letters, to take that TNA, and to make it what it always could have been. And being the inaugural champion of this new generation is something that the history books will recognize forever. And the only thing I can ever hope for is for what I do in this business to be remembered forever.
Wow, that is awesome. You know, I wanted to ask you about the training because that's kind of my territory a little bit. I'm from South Central Pennsylvania.
All
Grew
right.
up in the York, Harrisburg, Lancaster area.
Yeah,
So
pretty close where I grew up. I grew up in Berks County.
Yeah, I saw it. Where'd you go to high school?
Went to Conrad Weiser High School. I actually just put on a fundraiser wrestling event, first ever wrestling event at Conrad Weiser, just at the beginning of November. And I did it to raise money for the musical theater program. And it was because the musical theater program supported me and lifted me up when I was a student. It's one of the reasons I was able to chase my dreams without any sort of limitation. You know, they let me believe that anything was possible, and it is. So I wanted to give back. I put on a fundraiser show, and it was amazing. It was it was a really fulfilling moment for me.
Oh, that's terrific. What was it like training at the Samoan school? Because even when I was young, I saw the ads for the Samoan school.
Yeah.
And I was always curious about it. So tell us a little bit about that experience.
It was spectacular. I cannot think of a better way for me to have entered the business than under the Wild Samoans. I mean, obviously, the family lineage alone, right? You can't. The Wild Samoans are synonymous with pro wrestling, and so getting in on the ground level with them and learning the fundamentals, I can literally wrestle in my sleep because of the fundamental training I got from the Wild Samoans. I had a match back in 2016, I think 16 or 17, where I got knocked out in the ring, and I wrestled for 15 minutes, and it's a great match. It's on YouTube. I wrestled for 15 minutes, totally unconscious. I don't remember any of the match. My lights were completely out, but I was able to not only complete the match, but still have a good match with just out of my feet completely. And that's because pro wrestling is it's in my blood. It's really ingrained in me. It's quite literally second nature. And I think a lot of that has to do with the stress that the Samoans put on the fundamentals. You really couldn't get anywhere without hard work when it came to the Samoans. We used to have to do 500 squats when we started training, and however many push-ups, however many sit-ups, whatever. That was the beginning of training. And then we'd have to run until our legs didn't work anymore before we even got to do any wrestling work. And that's because you need to be able to perform under any circumstances. And they really wanted to stress that. And so I'm a machine. I really just can't be stopped in the ring. And I have to give a lot of the credit on that to the Wild Samoans. As far as fundamental training goes, I really don't know of anywhere better than the Samoan system.
Wow, that is an amazing story. That very cool. And I want to hear one.
And of course, I can't be remiss to leave out all of the connections that opens up too. Obviously, with the Wild Samoans being so well connected throughout the whole wrestling industry, that was a really important thing for me to do. Now, when I tell people I was trained by the Wild Samoans, obviously everybody knows who that is. That nobody can question that I didn't get a good base of training, because when you say the name like the Wild Samoans, they go, "Oh, okay, so you know what you're doing then. You have to know what you're doing if you came through there." And that's completely the case.
And of course, we're on the Mark Hoke Show with Ace Austin. And I'm going to give you a chance here to have a little fun with Chris Bey. Tell us something we don't know about Chris Bey that might make us smile just a little bit.
As good of Chris Bey's in incredible shape, right? The guy looks amazing, and he works incredibly hard. He doesn't eat. He just does like the man. He's a very picky eater, and especially when we were in Japan, it was really hard for him to find things that he liked. He needs to eat. If he started eating way more, wait until he gets his I don't want to say diet in check. Diet has a very negative connotation to it. But once he gets once he starts eating more, he's going to be the shape that he's in right now is incredible. And when he starts eating more, he's going to look even crazier. I've been trying to help him out with eating more because he just, he's so particular, and he always just wants to work out and does not want to fuel himself with food.
Nice. So the next time I see him here in Vegas, I'm going to bring a chocolate bar over to him and see what happens.
Yeah, there you go.
That'll be something. Well, Ace, tell everybody a little bit about the card coming up in Las Vegas. Let's hype this thing up.
Well, not only are we about to just absolutely blow the roof off of the Palms with this brand new start, but there's going to be it's going to be fresh, right? Everybody loves something fresh. There's going to be a fresh new coat of paint. It's going to be a brand new look, brand new lights, brand new everything. And the card itself, look, we do nothing but deliver great matches always. One thing you can always say about Impact Wrestling, now TNA, is we have some of the most consistent and best wrestling happening on a weekly basis anywhere in the world. And like I was saying earlier with that open door policy, that really leaves like anybody could be there in January. Anybody could be at Hard to Kill, anybody at all. There's no restrictions on who is allowed to walk through that door and do something. So, and of course with Okada coming back, something people thought would never happen. Okada coming back in and doing that is going to be insane. Our roster is really ready we've been working so hard to just to be respected and looked at as the top of the industry. And now we're all poised and ready to do just that when January rolls around.
Well, it's going to be a great time, and I'm glad you and I finally got to talk. We've met a few times, but we really didn't get the chance to spend a lot of time together. So I want to thank you for coming on the Mark Hoke Show, and I wish you and Chris all the best defending those TNA World Tag Team Championships
for the first time.
Yeah, and we will see you guys in Las Vegas in a few weeks. Thanks for joining us, buddy. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
You got it.